So welcome everyone, I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium and a Taino Arawak. Today's free mini class is on timing, when to make a move. How do you know when you should make a move? Life is sort of like a game of chess. And if you don't always understand what the opponent is about to do, or how to outsmart through multiple moves, or when you should make a specific move. If you don't understand these things, you're kind of at the mercy of the circumstance itself. And that should really never be happening. But I have found that most people, well into their older age, have no concept of this whatsoever. And I never really hear anybody talk about it very much. So today we're going to be breaking down the 3 different ways that people make decisions, and when it is best to make a decision. From what place should you be making that decision, and how to do that more often, okay, using some techniques that we're going to talk about here later. So part of the reason I wanted to do this class was because I'm constantly doing readings for my clients and noticing that they screwed it up. You know, they'll come and ask me something and I'll say, all right, well, here's what you need to do, and here's really when you need to do it. And then they come back to me a couple months later, and they didn't do it right. And I'm like, what were you thinking? They seem to hear part of what I'm saying, but they're missing the part on timing. And if they don't listen to both parts, it's not going to work. It's not enough for you to have collected all the data you need. It's not enough for you to sometimes even be in a power position. And it requires that you take that skill and that you take that information and you combine it with just the right moment, just the right time. If we don't have that element, it fails. And these, sadly, are not always situations that come back around again. This isn't always a redo. You know, it's not like life, where if you fail a test, it'll come back around and around and around and around. Timing is not like that. So often I have clients who missed an opportunity because they weren't listening to me. And I realized in the last year or so, maybe I should be louder. Okay, so hoping for the best on this one. Essentially, it's this. I can give you a timeline. I can tell you when exactly your strategy is going to work. But I cannot help you in those moments when your emotion is taking over and convincing you that you should jumpstart, that you should, pull the trigger too quickly. And I can't be there in those moments when your logic is overrunning you and your better judgment and you're overthinking something, or you so badly want to stop thinking on it and trying to fix it yourself from a place of ego that you decide, okay, I'm just going to make a move. I can't be there in those moments. I used to be a personal trainer, and I would tell my clients, I'm not going to be there at 3 a.m. to pull the cookie dough out of your hands. You have got to learn self-control and do this yourself. I will also get clients who repeatedly come back to me and ask the same thing over and over and over and over again. And it's like, I don't know what else you want me to tell you. I am telling you the truth. I'm not going to tell you anything other than the truth. And that means that you can only have this breakthrough at this particular time. Okay, so time is sort of in a lot of ways, it's a non-negotiable. And we have to learn to navigate it. So let's break down what happens here, all right? We have emotional timing. That means that people will choose to be overrun by their feelings in order to get through a situation faster, typically. Here's something I'm always saying. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get comfortable in the discomfort. Stop crawling out of your flesh all the time. Stop feeling like circumstances need to be better, that they need to be more. If you learn to live in the present moment more, then you will be able to control the discomfort If you learn to live in the here and now and not be so worried about the future that you're nervous and anxious, and you're not living in the past so you're heavy and low and depressive, if you can be present, you can allow yourself to have peace, even in that discomfort, even though you want something very, very badly. Now, I would say that there is no more important place to learn this than in love, in relationship with others, especially in romantic partnership. You've got to cool your jets. You have got to stay calm and centered. You can't want more from a love partner. You can't want it to turn into something more than what it is. You can't compromise yourself. You shouldn't be. Compromising yourself, selling yourself short, overreaching, parenting instead of partnering in that relationship. Okay? Any relationships, though, with their children. They overgive, they overcompensate, they helicopter, they don't know how to let their kids fall on their faces and pick themselves up. People that are really making decisions from a place of emotion all the time are going to see this wreak havoc on their life. You will make very few decisions that turn out well because you're coming from your feelings. We have to own our feelings. We have to understand that our feelings are fickle. They come and go. And they are never really matching up with our intuition. We just did another free mini show 2 weeks ago, called Emotion versus Intuition. How not to make decisions. And we talked about how emotions will steer you wrong. But your intuition never lies. Energy never lies. Your gut instinct is always accurate. So when we're talking about you feeling very much like you want something, I think one of the easiest things for you to do is to pull back and say, what is it that I need so bad right now? What is it that I want so much right now? And I think you need to make peace with that. You need to go inside yourself and sit with that need, that burning want, that desire. I would only spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes on this, but do it as often as you need to. And ask yourself, what is it really that I can't live without? Okay, and you will find that it's kind of silly, really. So we have to learn, when coming from our emotions, to take our hands off different situations. Don't make that phone call. Don't send that text. Don't call your boss again. Don't push any harder. If it is emotional, pull back. Now, a lot of people are making their choices from logic. Now, this is a little bit more confusing. Often our logic does match our intuition. So we talked about this on the other free mini class, right? If your logic is matched by your brain, your mind, obviously, it will say, yeah, that makes sense. And people or circumstances around you will say, yeah, that makes sense. Now is the time to make a move. But you should always, always, always check with your gut instinct and divine timing to make sure that it is the right time, because those they often do not match up on this particular point. So stop and test it out. How do you do that? Well, just like we talked about with emotional timing. You're going to want to stop. You're going to want to go inward, be introspective for maybe 5 or 10 minutes and ask, but is this the right time to make a move? And if you feel a red flag, if you feel a burning sensation in your shoulders or up the back of your neck into your head, if you feel heart palpitations or like a nervousness, sweaty palms, you start to feel a heavy sinking feeling like something's wrong, even though it matches your logic, it's not the right time. So you're going to have to ask, well, what is the right time? Now, if that's true, something will come to you straight away. Remember that you have access to all of the answers in the universe that you need when you need them. We just don't use the right side of our brain. We don't tap into our intuitive intelligence or our higher minds enough. So we're not in the practice of using this. But it's like picking up a telephone. You know, the telephone rings, you say hello, and there's an answer on the other end. So the minute you decide to go inward and ask this question, you have to trust and know that the answer is available to you. You have to trust what you received. If you hear 3 weeks, that's it. Don't question it over and over and over again. Don't push it away. Don't overanalyze it. It's not logic. It's not the left side. It's the right side of the brain. Accept that answer. 3 weeks? Okay, 3 weeks. You know what? Now I'm going to stay in faith and be patient. And on the 3rd week out from now, I know that something will happen, and I will then know exactly in what moment. And don't be afraid to go back and ask as you get closer for a little bit more definition. Because as you approach the right time, there's a flow of instruction that will start to come to you more easily. Now, one of the things that you may have noticed in the past is that as you were waiting for sort of to hear the gun to go off, to know when the race began, you would notice that as you're approaching a certain date or when it's time to make the right move, you don't even have to ask. Instruction comes to you. The universe is taking care of you. God, your ancestors, your angels, your guides, your higher mind, they send you messages, signs, symbols in your dreams, in your waking hours. When you approach the right time, you should be absolutely bombarded with signs that it's right. If you're not sure and you're not feeling it in your gut and you're hearing crickets, 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 it may not be time. And that may not match your feelings or your logic. That's really tough. It requires a tremendous amount of self-control. It goes against everything that you've been taught, every skill that you've been using your entire life, to pull back and to wait patiently in peace until it's the right moment to make a move. This is not easy. This is adulting at its best, right? At its highest level. This is the tough stuff. And I sadly don't see many people evolve into being able to utilize these strategic skills that cause for you to win. Therefore, most people don't level up and they don't complete what is written within your life contract, meaning what you signed on to do before you came to Earth. We have to understand that what's written within our life contract, everything in there is on a deadline. And so many people are missing their deadlines due to this issue. So many people are missing their soulmates due to this issue. So many people jumped the gun and got married too early to the wrong person due to this issue. You're taking the wrong job. You're settling too quickly on a decision, a property. Okay, you're not allowing your children or other people in your life the space and the time that they need. There is something very divine in timing. There's a wisdom that you can trust. And a lot of us are exhausted, anxious, nasty, impatient, aggressive, because we are not working within the system of divine timing. Therefore, we're working from a place of ego and control, fear and manipulation, and we're just trying to do it all, not just for ourselves, but for others around us. This creates a horrible imbalance and a real lack of judgment. And these are nice people and not so nice people. I mean, this is everybody. This is everywhere. I see this every single day. So let's talk about, how do you know when? All right, well, how do you know when you are using divine timing? First of all, there is a sinking feeling that you get when you're making a move at just the wrong time. It's almost like kind of like you want to puke. It's kind of like, I feel sick about this. I hate that I have to do this right now. Maybe you don't have to do this right now. So if there's a sinking, heavy feeling of discontentment or, worry, it may not be the right time. Now, if you're in divine timing, that will dissolve. You will also, if you're in divine timing, stop obsessing. Maybe not completely. I'm a Gemini. If there are any Geminis or Virgos here in the house tonight, we never stop thinking and nitpicking. Okay, so this actually means a lot coming from someone like me. I will feel a tremendous difference if I made a move by divine timing. In my ability to control my thoughts, I won't have to do it as much. The cyclical pattern of negative obsession over the move that I just made will just sort of put itself to rest. Okay, you will also feel like a sense of peace, like you don't have anything more to do. There's this great feeling of being able to sort of sit back and relax. Let go, let God. Okay, now I'm going to sit back and relax. We're going to see where it goes from here. Or I'll say things like, well, I've done everything that I can do. It's like the serenity prayer. I'm going to wait until God gives me another instruction. If I don't hear from Spirit, I'm not even going to think about it. Okay? If I haven't gotten instruction in a while, then I'm going to keep doing what I was told to do last. And if that's waiting, then that's waiting. That's fine. That's still doing the work. I have more of a sense of peace with that when I'm coming from divine timing. Okay? That's easier. And it will be reinforced by things outside of you. So let's get into that too. This was the second thing that will help you to understand. There are signs and symbols, totems, animals, dreams, okay, your ancestors, your guides, all of these visits. While you're awake or while you're asleep, numerology will start to follow you, number patterns. You will get a ton of reminders from the world around you through symbology that you're on the right track. Just stay steady on the course. Sit tight. You're still doing the right thing. Now, if you're not getting any of that ever, you may be off track with the timing that you chose to do things in. Okay, how can you better work from divine timing? Well, this is something I'm always telling my students and my clients and my kids. No one can do this for you. There is no magic trick to any of this. This requires self-discipline. This requires self-control. This requires practice. When I post things on this, on social media, I always get the crying face emoji, and people are so miserable straight out of the gate. And I say, whoa, you're going to have a really hard time with this. You have to be willing to do the work. Nobody can come and do this for you. And somebody will always post something like, easier said than done. And I say, well, you're never going to get anywhere with that attitude because practice makes perfect. At least try. Now, the more you try, the more you get it under your belt and you know it in your bones. Next time you have to do it, it becomes a little bit easier and a little bit easier and more comfortable. So that's it. It's self-discipline and it's a lot of practice. How can you help yourself to do that? Control your emotions. Because your emotions, even if you're a logical person, the majority of the time, your emotions are probably going to be the most difficult for you to control. They will have you convinced that you must make a move right now. It's like a burning, like a fire. You know, you feel like I got to put this fire out. And the only way to do it is to make a move, to say this thing, to make this decision. All right. So you must control your emotions or this really isn't going to work. Now people say, well, how do you know that's easier said than done too? Yeah, but again, that's just practice. How do you control your emotions? Stop giving them so much attention. Okay. We were trained in the in the 60s and the 70s that you should follow your bliss and you should follow your feelings and your feelings never lie. Your feelings almost always lie, actually. Okay, that's a terrible idea. You have to go back and watch the other video. What was the other video? Feelings versus intuition. Okay, go back and watch the other video. I go for like an hour I talk about this. You have to stop them dead in their tracks and replace them. So we have tools on there to help you do that. Okay, so one of the things that you guys can do for homework, I want you to think back on a time. If you look at your love life, this should be an easy area. If you look at a hasty decision you made in your work or money, this should be an easy area. Okay, or if you are a little bit a victim or the martyrdom syndrome with you in relationships, especially with your children where maybe you overhelp or you're an enabler, that should be an easy area to look at. So I want you to think back on an area of your life, a decision that you made that was definitely done in the wrong time. All right, I want you to write that down in a little journal, and then I want you to write, after you remember back on that, you may want to go inside your head and sort of sit with that for maybe 3 to 4 minutes. Just sit with it. Replay it in your head. And when you do that, you're going to start to have some emotions. I want you to notice how that felt. How did that feel mentally, physically, emotionally? How did the world around you react? Did you feel that you had the support of your ancestors and spirits at that time? Or did you feel very lonely? Okay. I want you to write those things down. Because the nice thing about humans is that we're very patterned. So, however you felt during that one time, you still feel that way today when you make a bad move at the wrong time. Okay, it's all the same. Then I want you to do another little homework assignment here. I want you to think about a time when you made a decision that was in just the right time. And I want you to do the same exact thing. Sit with that for about 3 to 4 minutes. Think about how the world reacted with you, what kind of dreams you were having, numerology, symbology. Did you feel supported by your ancestors? How did you feel physically, mentally, emotionally? And notice if the turnout on that decision that you made wasn't 10 times bigger in prosperity than the one you made at the wrong time. Okay, so we always see a bigger turnout if we're making a move in divine timing. I say it's like tenfold. So I believe we're on number 3. I don't know if I told you guys to number those or not.
If you're on the second page, you're on
4. Okay. So number 4, remember that your guides are your best friends. And I mean this quite literally. When you were a child, typically between 3 and about 6 years old, you would have had an imaginary friend. Or 5, okay? Because we get 5 guides appointed to us. But usually you had one, very special one. And it would have taken the form of a blanket or a stuffed toy or an object. And then when you were about 5 years old, the right side of your brain started to develop more. You would have started to tap more into the right side, and your dog or your blanket or whatever it was would have become an invisible friend, an imaginary friend. Well, that was your joy guide. Your joy guide is your right-hand man or woman. We have a class called Meet Your Guides up on the website. Okay, you really need this. Your guides are there to tell you when exactly you are supposed to make a move, and you should check with them every single day. I check in with my guides like a tick. I don't even think I notice how many times I do it anymore throughout the day, but I always spend about 10 to 15 minutes in the morning with them as a group, as a meeting, as a team. And I will ask, what do I need to know today? When do I make moves? And is there anything I should watch out for? Okay, and they will tell me. So your joy guide is your imaginary friend when you're a kid. never left, but did change form for you a little bit. And that's the one that you're going to want to stay in touch with really, really closely. That is the closest one. However, if you are about to make a move in a relationship, you would really want to call in your relationship guide. If you're about to make a move with your work or money, or about something in your life contract, you're going to want to call in your work and money guide. Okay, if you're about to do something like book a surgery, or should I take this medication and when, or, I'm involved in this situation, but it's a major, major risk. When should I do it? You're going to call in your protector guide. For those of you that are making decisions in your life or within your life contract, and it involves you tapping into your past lives and who you were and the skill set that you attained during that time, or you want to bring healing to that past life, when? Call in your Akashic Record guide. Okay, so the Meet Your Guides class is going to break that down for you. But you really need to be sitting with your guides every day, but especially before you make a move. They will tell you if it's right or wrong. Okay, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We can use the system that we came to Earth with of help. They know what they're doing. Now, this last one, number 5, is really for those of you that are more advanced. If you're more advanced in light work or your intuition, okay, if you were abused as a child or you suffered any kind of neglect, you were raised maybe by an alcoholic parent, or anything like this, if you had a near-death experience, a lot of you don't even think of yourself as being advanced in this, but you really are. That immediately moves you up to the highest level of intuition. So for you, you would have a stronger sense of discernment than the average person. All right, now with discernment, I'm talking about understanding the difference between a negative, darker, low spirit in the universe versus a high vibrational spirit that is connected to the light, giving you a sign, giving you wisdom, giving you direction. So for those of you that are strong in discernment only, should you be using this last technique, you're going to ask for a sign from the higher up energies in the universe. I would ask for animal totems, in particular birds, and you want to see the birds flying from the left to the right. That is symbolic of a timeline from the past to the future. That is a go-ahead. If you see them going from the from the right to the left, that's a sign of going backward. That means it's not time. Okay, so ask for the animals to communicate with you. I would also ask for numbers, because numbers you can easily look up in numerology. Just Google it. You could also Google angel numbers, and you could find out what they're telling you through those numbers. Every number is a message and a direction. And so you could say specifically, I need numbers showing me the timeline. You could also ask for them to come and give you very specific signs in dreams, or to use other humans as the mouthpiece for God, as I say. Which means people around you will automatically start channeling. They won't remember it. They're going to go into trance-like states. But humans are a wide open channel. They're manipulated all the time. We're all being manipulated all the time. So you can ask your spirits to use the people around you to automatically channel and tell you when it's the right time. Okay. You could design another system. You could ask for a sensation in your body, like a tingling in your arm or a ringing in your ears. Okay. There are a million things that you could do. But I would set up, for those of you strong in discernment, a system that can always be used over and over and over again with your spirits to help you to know, okay, now. And that's it. That's all you ever really need to know. Put it out of your mind the rest of the time. The minute you get that go ahead, make your move. Okay. That's pretty much what I got on this, folks. Do we have questions or comments?
If you do make a mistake with your timing, is there a way to correct it so that you can continue to level up and make moves?
It really depends on the situation and what we're talking about. If you did not do something within your life contract by deadline, no, there's nothing that we can do with that loss. The only thing that you can do is to hit the next, I call them pivotal points. So if you guys need life contract reading with me, that's what you would want to book. And you'll hear me talk about this a lot. You hit these pivotal points, you only get 5 or 6 in your entire lifetime. So in an error like that, you can hit the next pivotal point, and what will happen is that things in your life will start to move very rapidly. It's sort of like playing a game of catch-up, but we still can't necessarily pick up on those losses. Some of them may have to just be recycled into future lives. Okay. However, some of it can be recouped, and you can certainly make sure that you stay on track with what's left. If it is a situation, sometimes in a relationship, if you missed, it's possible that something could come back around if that other individual is willing. If the communication is good, if there's a contract between the two of you, like a soulmate contract, a karmic contract, we could see more willingness there to work with it. And I would also say that if you missed something and it is connected to a major life lesson for you, it may come back around again. Probably.
We got one from Amy. What about when you are receiving signs that you're making the right move, but then the outcome doesn't happen? Did we misstep somewhere?
Well, I would have to look at the specific situation, but if you're receiving signs that you're making the right move and then it didn't go well, it could be that you misread those signs. Sometimes we are manifesting signs because we want to believe that we're doing things right. Sometimes we are reading signs incorrectly, so we're reading them as encouragement on timing when they weren't. They were just encouragement on the situation itself. So it gets complicated. If you're doing something in divine timing, you are going to see a good turnout. That's it. So there was probably some other kind of miscommunication going on there, and it may very well be on your perception of what you were receiving. Right. Okay. All right. Very good. So I want to welcome you guys to tune in for, let me see what the next one is. Okay, so again, our next free mini class is on high vibration energy in your life versus low vibration energy, and how to make sure that you are always coming from a high vibration to increase your prosperity, your health, your wellness. We are bringing Christina Del Rey, our astrologer, here at the Academy on for that one to talk about how the planets will majorly affect you, and sometimes, and for some upcoming astrology, possibly even in a really negative way, okay, to cause you to work from a low vibration, how to move forward. I'll be teaching you some techniques on how to do that, and hope to see you. The next show actually is going to be Ask Ivy, back here on YouTube, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, where I take your personal questions and I give your weekly horoscopes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.